I met your friends from Santa Fe, Billy and Steve.
Yes, I know. She put it on Facebook.
I'd like to call to order the Avalon City Council meeting of February 3rd. Denise, roll call.
Oops. Councilmember Cassidy?
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Here.
Councilmember Sampson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Olson?
Here.
And Mayor Marshall.
Here. Would we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Joe, would you be so kind as to lead us tonight?
I'd be honored. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And City Manager Ben Harvey will be leading us in the invocation.
You may be seated if you choose to. If you please bow your heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we ask for your hand on this body this evening as we gather to try to make decisions and have discussions that are in the best interest of the community. We ask that you help us to be mindful of those things that we have in common, not those things that divide us, and steer us towards always the common good and the concentric circle. We ask in your name, amen.
Amen. And I'd like to just take a moment to remember Bob Johnson. I just heard this, so I'm rather shocked, who recently passed away. Are there any announcements?
We do have some minor changes on the water side permit item, and I will defer to the harbor master when we come to that item to announce those changes because they all relate just to that item.
Okay.
And I guess the other thing I should acknowledge is that we will be postponing our presentation this evening by Ms. McDonald. She has had a death in the family, and we express our condolences.
Yeah, thank you. Written communications.
None that I've listed. I will bring a list. We have received some recently. I will make sure that we bring a list of those to the next council meeting.
Okay. City manager report.
A couple items. Want to thank the city. I was able to participate last week in the League of California City Managers Department meeting conference in San Francisco. I found it to be very educational, good opportunity for me to sit, to learn, to listen, to interact with peers, and I appreciate the opportunity very much. The other thing I want to report out on is I just came from across the way with the fire department. It's the reserve night this evening, as it is monthly. Two of our fire department members, Captain Mefford and Engineer Bray, were providing a presentation on customer service training as a makeup session for our full-time employees. The reserves were also getting to participate in that session as well, and I just want to extend my thanks, my gratitude to Captain Bray and to, Captain Mefford and Engineer Bray. They did a great job. They really knocked it out of the park. They were hitting on all the salient points and really also customizing it to the service of the fire department, and I just was very impressed.
Great, thank you. City attorney report.
Nothing tonight.
Oh, council member reports. Joseph, Councilman Sampson.
I wanted to ask, does anybody know when the harbor cleanup is going to be? When is that?
Saturday, February 21st.
Saturday, February 21st. So anybody who's out there and you're wondering, Saturday, February 21st is the harbor cleanup. And I believe that's all I wanted to bring to the attention. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
I don't have any specific report other than I will be attending the Gateway Cities Council of Government meeting tomorrow over town.
Good.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Perfect.
Okay, I've got a couple things. I want to do a shout out to Jeff and Ellison Brusack. They recently formed, I'm sure you read about the 501c3 to rehabilitate the Chimes Tower. We're very excited about that, and we wish them good luck. And I don't have the specifics on what the little email address is, but it is in the newspaper, and we wish them luck because we all love those chimes. Also, Catalina Kid Ventures will be hosting St. Patrick's Day again on March 17th at the M Restaurant. We'll be getting tickets out there in the near future. If anybody wants to volunteer to sell tickets, we could always use your help with that. Yesterday, I attended the mayor's meeting in Downey at the Discovery Center, which is where they commemorate the Columbia and the Challenger, and I'm sorry, I'm not a real rocket woman, but it's a pretty cool little place. And some of the subjects, two of them that were interesting is Dr. Lucy Jones, who was there at the last one, talked about seismic safety and has put out a publication that I'll circulate to you all about just how devastating and how insane this whole when we get the big one, as she says, it's not a matter of if we're going to get it, it's when it's going to hit. So, and then also Dr. Linda Szabo from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs and John Szabo, the LA City Library, talked about what they're doing in Los Angeles to demystify all the new immigration laws, and I'll be talking with Steve, pardon me, the name Napolitano when he comes in the middle of the month to see how we can provide that to our residents of Avalon. They have found that the library is a very neutral zone for people. You know, they don't feel like the government agency, and they've taught the librarians and their staff how to fill out immigration paperwork and kind of demystify all of that. So it's a direction I think that we should be doing in Avalon to help out our immigrant population. So those were the highlights. And then I'd like to wish a happy 10th birthday to Hannah on my street. She wanted me to create tomorrow as Hannah's birthday day, and I told her I would just give a shout out on her birthday. So that's all I have. Oral communications. This is when the audience may address the council. No action will be taken, and we will limit you to 3 minutes. And if I could ask, I know he's in a hurry, Mr. Saffron, to please come up.
Hi, I want to introduce myself. I'm Tom Saffron. We're the developers of Bird Park and Beacon Hill, and which we developed in conjunction with the city and the Island Company over 20 years ago. I understand that you are interested in an elevator at Beacon Hill, and we'd be delighted to work with you in making that a reality. I also wanted to publicly let you know that we're in escrow to buy Tremont Street Apartments, and our goal is to extend the affordability. Our hope is to be able to buy it, extend our lease with the Island Company, and for at least 55 years, that's how you get federal tax credit. That's how we did Bird Park and Beacon Hill, with federal tax credit and funding and financing from the Department of Agriculture. And I always am surprised by that. You're a rural community under 5,000, and that's how we were able to get special funding to build those buildings in the first place. Anyway, if all goes well, within several months, about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, we will be the new owners of the leasehold on Tremont, and our hope is to greatly improve it, extend affordability, upgrade it, change the paint colors, and make it a wonderful residence in your city. So thank you for the opportunity. We just happened to be here tonight. We heard that you had a council meeting at 6, so I wanted to say hello.
Thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Anthony as well. Thank you.
Oh, and I wanted to introduce, I'm here with Anthony Yanata, our Vice President of Finance, who's working on this project, and Michelle Von Hertling, who is our manager of both Beacon Hill and Bird Park.
Okay.
Raise
Thank
your
you.
hand. You all know
Yeah.
who you are. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other oral communications? Jim?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I just wanted to take a moment to announce to you and to the viewing public the recent publication of our 2015 Visitors Guide. It's now out and being distributed, and each of you as council members will be getting a copy if you haven't already in your inboxes. And for all the business owners in the community who advertised, we appreciate their support. And this year we're hand delivering those. We're going to walk around and use it as an opportunity to meet once again and thank all of those business owners instead of just mailing them. So it'll take us a few days longer to get that done, but we thought it was important with my new role here to do it in person. So just wanted to share that with you, and I hereby deputize all of you in your travels around the state and the world to carry one of these with you, please, at all times. Happy to provide them if you ever need them.
Perfect. Great. Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you.
Any other presentations?
Good evening. I just have a few recreation announcements to share with the community. I did want to remind everyone that our youth flag football season is more successful than ever this year, and if you haven't seen a game, you need to get up to Joe Machado on Sundays for one of our games. The elementary games are at 12 and 1 o'clock, and the middle school games are at 2 and 3 o'clock, and they've been close. They've been really exciting, so go up there and support our local flag football kids. You can register now for our Spring Youth Basketball League. The players ages 3rd grade through 8th grade are welcome. And then for the first time this year, we'll also be adding a 1st and 2nd grade component, thanks to the Just for the Halibut tournament, who donated adjustable basketball hoops for younger, shorter kids. You can come register now. Registration is going on now through the 21st of this month. So get up to City Hall, go online to cityofavalon.com, or there's registration packets in the post office arcade and up at school. You can pick up your registration form and turn it back in down here at City Hall. And then also we'd like to just get the word out to the community that you should start planning your Spring Fest booth now. It's a great way to raise funds for your team, your club, your nonprofit in town, or just your business. So come on into City Hall again. The applications will be up shortly on our website, but they're available here at City Hall. It's first come, first serve, so if you have a game or a food item that you want to sell, get on the list early for your particular item, and that'll be a great time. That is going to be held on Thursday, April 23rd this year. And then lastly, we do have the second session of our hugely popular Kick It Up dance classes. It's for 3-year-olds to 16-year-olds. It's everything from hip-hop, jazz, tap, ballet. It's been really successful up at Tremont Hall on Wednesdays. And the second session of that's going to start right after our local kids' spring break in March, so or the beginning of April. So come on in and sign up. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
It's the Monroe Show. Jordan Monroe, Community Outreach Director for KISL. I just wanted to let everybody know that tomorrow night, if you enjoy watching local cable TV at 6 o'clock on Channel 3, will be the Island Variety News Show, which is starring local community members and our high school students putting together productions and live performances on a local TV from 6 to 6:30 every Wednesday, except for when there's Planning Commission. We let them take over Channel 3. But it's just kind of a fun way to see local kids practice TV production.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? I see Mr. Garcia. You have nothing to say today? Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no other folks, we'll go to the consent calendar.
Annie, I'm sorry. I was actually expecting Mr. Garcia to say something, and I do have a question for him, though. We've heard in several council meetings the update regarding Phase 2 and how everybody's doing in town, and the number of violations, number of discussions. But I'm curious, what is happening with the actual positions? We have some people that I believe that were hired for Edison that go out and talk to people about Phase 2, that talk about any violations. Do we still have those positions in town?
Yes, we do. And Council member, if I can, next city council meeting, I'll come prepared to share information about what you're asking about. But yes, there are people going into the community, talking with our families and discussing ways they can conserve water, talking about how they can get a better allocation if it's need, and also talking about violations. So yes, sir, there's 2 people hired and they're doing very well, and I'll come with a report next week.
Okay, great.
Or
Thank you very
next
much.
city council meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, consent calendar.
Mayor, if I could, there's actually one thing I think I needed to state during the announcements, and Denise, forgive me if this was already said and I just didn't hear it. Did we announce the correction to the minutes, or do we wait till we get to that section?
Oh, we could announce it.
Okay, so there's a revision to the minutes from the last meeting of the 20th. We failed to acknowledge that on item number 11 regarding the fuel dock, Russ and Jenny Armstrong had offered and the city accepted their proposal to pay for one half of the inspection of that facility. So let the record reflect that, and I do believe that, Mayor, you caught that. We appreciate that.
And I understand that inspection is going to start tomorrow?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm scared. Okay. Okay, consent calendar.
Yes, Mayor, we have 8 items on the consent calendar this evening. I should point out that of those 8 items, 5 are waterside permits. There is also a waterside permit in the general business section this evening. So I'm anticipating that you might want to talk about some of these waterside permits on the consent calendar. So I'm just going to go ahead and have the harbor master come up to the podium because it's a foregone conclusion. But anyway, I'm going to march through here. Starting out the consent calendar, you have actions from the December 16th and the January 20th City Council meetings. You have an item next that pertains to Area F, which is for the fire department services and grant money. Avalon, Long Beach, and Signal Hill are grouped together, and it's our turn to pass the baton to Signal Hill for the purposes of dispersing the grant funds. We've done our couple of years, so that's what that item is for. We have an item pertaining to the annual growth resolution. Was approved by the Planning Commission, and so we're bringing it forward to you for your approval. And then, as I mentioned, we have 5 waterside permits on the consent calendar. So the first waterside permit is for Seaplanes of Los Angeles, obviously operating a seaplane air tour of Catalina from the harbor to and from private boats. Next is for the waterside permit for the ghost tours of Catalina for sea-doos, rentals, coastal tours, and fishing charters off around the Pebbly Beach area and east. Next is a waterside permit for charter 30 to 40 foot boat proposed by Mr. Daniel Mello. And then finally, it's a waterside permit for the breakfast boat, which is proposing to sell baked goods and miscellaneous items in the harbor. Excuse me for one moment.
I forgot number 4.
Yeah. Forgive me. The city attorney pointed out that I did forget a crucial item, which is those items that are not slated for recommended approval are listed under number 4, wherein we've got a few waterside permits that are recommended for denial, largely due to failure to pay for outstanding fees, among other items.
Okay, let me bring up 2 issues. One is item 7, which is Danny Mello, and it says hold it over, so we want to pull that one off.
Harbor Master, would that be your recommendation on that one?
Yes, he's a merchant marine and he's unable to be present tonight. We'd like to pull it until he is present to answer any questions.
Okay, and then on the DBOS, that was one that was not recommended, but I believe that was resolved today with the Finance Department.
I believe that's the
Yeah,
case.
I can tell you that Parasail Catalina has been resolved. They've paid completely. Descanso Beach Ocean Sports has been resolved. The Barge LLC had entered into a payment plan and it's resolved. Item number 6 with Angry Inch Dive Service, and item number 7, Conan Marine Dive Service, that has not gotten in touch with the Finance Department or the auditors that have been trying to get them for a few months, is still being recommended to not renew.
Okay.
And Mayor, you could approve these tonight. You don't have to continue these, even though they're originally not separately listed out.
Okay.
You don't have to.
What did that mean?
Well,
Confusing.
we've done some specifically, and on item number 4, the last page of it is those permits that we're recommending renewal for, and then there were several ones that were slated for not renewal, and as the harbor master has indicated, we're changing those actions because those ones have come into compliance.
Right. These were last-minute arrangements that we're able to work out with the applicants, and so if it's your pleasure, we can certainly approve them tonight. Initially, you know, with our deadline to publish the packet, get the information to you, these were not resolved at the time of publication.
So for item number 4, could we add those to these list of ones to approve?
You could.
Would that
Nope.
make it easier?
That's not listed to approve. It's just those listed vessels.
Okay, whichever one it is.
This
Whatever.
is the total list of waterside permits as of December 2014.
But not
This
all.
is the total list, but we would be either recommending or not recommending, as per the harbor master's request,
Right. So-
on
Oh, no.
non-renewal of 3.
Right.
Yeah, they're showing goodwill, absolutely.
So if
That's what we
you'd like,
want.
I could have the
Yeah.
harbor master list those that we're recommending at this time now for approval that we weren't previously because we had some outstanding issues to resolve. So, Brian, would you like to list those again, those that we were able to resolve today?
The ones that were able to resolve were recommended actions number 3, Parasail Catalina. Recommended action number 4, Descanso Beach Ocean Sports. Number 5, the Barge LLC. And I'm recommending now that they've come into compliance that they be renewed.
Okay. All right. And-
Without polling the item, can I ask a question on number 5? Or do I need to poll it? I'm just curious with I very much appreciate setting up a plan to at least move forward with that. If they don't comply with the payment plan, is there a recommended action that we've discussed with them? So if they miss 3 or 4 payments, can we suspend or can we recommend suspension of their permit? How does that work?
He made the payment plan with the finance department, so I'm asking Chris to come and speak to that.
Okay.
Good evening. Yes, he has, the gentleman, Mr. Hubert, has approached us on a payment plan acceptable to the city. By June, the amount should be paid off. It was a rather large dollar amount, so he's otherwise closed there's not much business being earned now, so during the summertime, in the lead up to it, he asked for the ability to earn revenue so he can make those payments. Now, as I understand it, the waterside permit does give us the ability to pull or deny.
If they don't make the payment that they've promised, we can bring it back to council for revocation.
Okay. I'm going to think positively and go with that they're going to pay. I'm just curious because this is new. I've not seen this before, so I'm happy that they're trying to work it out.
And we won't wait until next December to bring it back to you.
That's what I was getting at. Thanks.
Okay, is there, on item number 4, is there any comments from the public? Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
Want a motion on 4?
I
Move staff on 4? Revise staff?
Are we?
No, this is
What
a,
about our entire consent calendar?
We haven't gone through the consent calendar and pulled stuff from it.
Yeah, this is,
Six
right,
years.
so,
this is just
Someone
one-
preempted us here.
so we don't need to vote on, okay, let's go, okay. Let's work on the consent items
Oh,
again.
good. 6?
Pulling 6,
Yeah.
And 5, please.
okay.
And then I just want to make a correction on, well, let's see. It's number 3. It's number 3, section 3, item D. I'd just like to clarify, it's, the way it's worded is kind of strange to me, and I was hoping we could just change the wording on it. It says, Southern California Edison has advised the city that inadequate fresh water is available to be allocated for new construction. It just kind of doesn't make sense to me. Can you clarify that? It's the inadequate fresh water is available. Who would want inadequate fresh water? We want adequate fresh water.
I think, Councilmember
Do you understand
Sampson.
that?
I do. I think that maybe what we could change the wording to address the supply.
Yeah, they cannot use fresh water for any construction. They have to use, like everyone else, they have to use the shipped-in water or non-potable water.
In other words, there's not water available for that purpose. So that's what I was getting
Okay.
at with the supply. I think we've just not written that very clearly.
Okay. Okay, I understand it. Can we clarify how that's going to be, read?
Yeah, I think maybe as a suggestion, if you want, you could approve this with the recommendation to change D to maybe say something like, Southern California Edison has advised the city that that fresh water may not be used for new construction,
That's fine.
if that's acceptable.
Yes, that's fine for me. Thank you.
Sure.
And under the goal alignment, is that the 2020
You,
plan?
can we push pause just for one
Sorry.
moment? Amanda, do you want to come to the podium just to, so we make sure we're on the same page? Sorry.
Sorry. I believe that phrase is intended to address that there is an inadequate freshwater supply for new construction. So if someone wants to build a new house, or there's not adequate fresh water for that, that's in stage 2. They're not allocating fresh water for new construction. I don't think that's intended to mean you're not allowed to use fresh water for construction. It's new dwelling units, new
Commercial
buildings.
development?
You can't
New
use any,
development. And maybe that would change the word for new development instead of construction.
It's all construction. All construction, you cannot use potable water.
Correct.
That's what the tariff says, and that's what the intent is. So as the city manager said, that no potable water can be used for construction.
That is correct.
That's the condition.
But I'm hearing this as being two different things.
Yes.
And Amanda, what I'm hearing you say is totally different than what Scott's saying. There is,
And
right,
maybe we
there
need
is
both
not,
sentences in here.
right, maybe we need both. There is not adequate fresh water to use during
For new
construction.
development.
But there's also not fresh water if I wanted to go out somewhere on the side of the hill near the golf course and build a brand new house. There's not water. There's
fresh
not an
water.
allocation of fresh water to do a new construction project.
Correct.
They're two different things.
Yes.
Do you follow?
Yes.
Okay.
So perhaps we need to add, if we want to add the second sentence to address that there's also inadequate fresh water for any construction project, and construction is required to use non-potable water. So maybe we need to add that.
That makes more sense to me. Does that answer what you were thinking?
And it may
Yeah.
clear it up some if we change in the sentence that we're talking about, change the word construction to development.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
then,
'cause-
then you're talking about new development is new allocations, but construction, all construction is potable water.
Okay, so what it reads now is Southern California Edison has advised the city that inadequate fresh water is available to be allocated for new development, and any construction shall use non-potable water.
That sounds perfect.
No, that's great.
Better.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, consent calendar. Is the action.
What do we got? We got,
1,
6, I think.
1,
yeah, 1 to
2,
4.
3, 4.
Move staff on consent 1 to 4 with the revisions from this evening.
Okay,
Second that?
okay. Any other comments?
Sorry. And 8, can we include 8 in that? Or did somebody, I don't recall anybody pulling that, so can we include 8
Sure.
in the consent?
Sure.
Okay.
And item 8.
Sorry, Councilmember, were you asking to pull that one or continue?
No,
on?
No, nobody said anything, included it in a motion or pulled it, so I just wanted it included.
Got it.
Okay?
I'll also, I guess 7 and 8, but the recommendation on 7 to be hold over.
Yeah,
Held over.
okay. All right, with those changes to hold over 7 and approve item 8, let's call for the vote.
Sorry.
Did we have a second?
All ayes.
Yeah, Joseph.
Oh, yeah, good.
Joseph. Do we have a second?
Okay, Obi.
Oh, no, I was, sorry.
Okay,
That was funny.
item number 4.
5.
Item number 5. Okay, if I could ask the harbor master to present on this one, please.
So Seaplanes of Los Angeles has applied to, they've submitted a waterside application to offer seaplane air tours of Catalina and seaplane flights directly to and from private boats outside Avalon Harbor. Michael Steele, who currently operates the Seaplanes of San Diego, proposes to use 2 Helio Super Courier amphibian seaplanes on demand for 1 to 5 passengers, 1 to 5 trips per week during daylight hours, year-round except Thanksgiving and Christmas. He proposes that the 2 seaplanes will use a small rubber dinghy to offload their passengers directly to and from private boats and may require tying to a mooring buoy occasionally if available. The mitigation for using the rubber dinghy is Island Navigation currently holds an exclusive franchise to shuttle passengers within the city limits. Seaplanes of Los Angeles would need to receive a waiver from Island Enterprises to shuttle their passengers to and from private vessels anchored within the city limits. So that's just saying if the shore boats say, hey, I can't pull up alongside your seaplane, they could allow a different entity that may have a rubber raft to pull up alongside and transport those people. The shore base of operation, the applicant states that the base operation is located on the ocean side of north and west of Avalon Harbor. And the mitigation would be that the applicant obtains a commercial storefront to conduct ticket sales for the local seaplane tours and to service passengers that they drop off here in Avalon. The recommendation is that the City Council make the affirmative findings that the conditions set forth in the municipal code have been met and grant the waterside project application to Michael Steele with the following conditions. That the seaplane landings take off and landings take place outside of the city waters. The applicant obtains a storefront to conduct his ticket sales. The applicant obtains any necessary permits and licenses from the Coast Guard regarding a seaplane operation while it's on the ocean. Once it's on the water, it's a boat. So I don't know if they need anything extra. The applicant obtains any necessary permits from the PUC regarding transportations of passengers from port to port. I don't know if they need it, but just wanted to put it out there just in case they do. The applicant obtains any necessary permits from the FAA to conduct a commercial passenger operation. For transportation to and from the seaplane, require the applicant to use the current shoreboat operator who holds an exclusive contract to haul passengers within the city limits. And the applicant abides by the standard list of conditions as a waterside permit holder would, except provide an aircraft liability insurance policy. And I'm just looking at something that we had on file for Island Express helicopters, which is $10 million instead of the $1 million. And the applicant pay a 7% use fee under section 10-2402 for any operations that commence to or from Avalon Harbor. And then they obtain any approvals from the Coastal Commission if that comes into play.
And is the gentleman here, Michael, still here? No? So I have a question, and I kind of asked Ben about it today, talking about how we always say need a storefront to conduct business, and I respect your comment about we don't want barkers and just people out there. But with cell phones, and if the people are going to get on a shore boat to go to the thing, why would, and you don't really have product, why would they need a storefront? Why do they need a storefront?
If I could, Mayor, this would be one where they truly don't. They can conduct business over the telephone, or they do not need a storefront for a waterside permit in this case. We do have some where we think it's merited, and it's usually those that are dispersing equipment. Like,
right.
So this would not be one where we would think that they need a storefront, but those that are handing out gear, that's where we think that a storefront's appropriate. so they can have a place where that can be stored and retrieved, and people can go to ask questions.
Okay, so might we be able to strike that from this?
Excuse me?
Do we have that listed in the?
Yes,
in the
number two.
Okay.
Number two.
Unless the harbor master disagrees with me?
Well, the only reason why is like Catalina Express, everybody goes to their window even though the people are trying to go back to Newport or when the other people were coming in for Marina Del Rey. You know, everybody for transportation went to their window. They want to talk to somebody.
And so?
Huh?
And so,
That's up to you. I mean, it's your decision whether you make them have a storefront or not for answering customers' questions.
So there's gonna be, what he's saying is, alluding to, is that people are gonna be looking for someone to ask questions to, and more than likely, they'll be directed to the Chamber of Commerce, or they'll just go to the nearest place where they can find somebody that'll talk to them and say, hey, where do I get to the boat that's gonna take me out to the seaplane?
Well, or the other thing that I think we're seeing a lot of, because things are evolving, is that people are doing a Google search and they're finding a phone number and calling. So I think that, with due respect, I think this might be one where I think that we could probably...
We have a number of like six-pack charter businesses that currently operate like Memory Maker charters, or I've got a list of them that, you know, they don't have a storefront, but it's so few and far between. They have a charter now and then, and they meet on the pier, they get on their boat, and away they go. If it's something where they're coming in daily with passengers, and somebody that got here on Monday wants to leave on Thursday and wants to go change their ticket, I mean, whether they can do that over the phone, you know, that's...
I think the gentleman would probably do due diligence in that, you know, he's going to be approaching different businesses in town, and he's going to be working with the chamber. I mean, to me, I don't think it's necessary, but that's
Did he have any opposition to that?
I have not talked to him about that, and he has not, he's got a copy of the staff report and he hasn't called about it. I know that at one point he was working with a local hotel, and maybe he plans on operating out of there.
I think it's great to have a storefront. I mean, I know we have space available.
except, I mean, how logical is it though, then you advertise that you're working out of a hotel when you're a seaplane business? So that doesn't make any sense either. It would seem like if he wants to do that because he's worked out an agreement, that's fine, but I think to make it mandatory isn't necessary.
I'm kind of concerned that he's not here to represent himself and his business. I mean, this is kind of an important thing. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so now we got a seaplane, we've got yachts, we've got Avons, we've got the shore boat, we got a storefront or maybe not a storefront. I mean, all these questions I'd like to answer. Where he's going to take off, I'm looking at the directions he's taking off at. We're going to have wave runners, we're going to have tubers, we're going to have swimmers, we're going to have yachters, we're going to have helicopters, we're going to have other boaters coming in and out, we're going to have kayakers, and these seaplanes are taking off, which is fine. I miss the seaplanes. I would like to see seaplanes on Catalina. I'd just like to ask this gentleman more questions about how the protocol of this business is going to operate. That is,
do you want to hold them
Can
over
I
then?
suggest that we hold it over until the applicant can be present?
Yes, till he's here, till we can talk to him. Yeah, there's too many questions and not enough answers.
Okay.
Too much liability as well.
No problem.
It's a good call.
Yep. Okay, we'll hold that one over. Item...
And if I could, Mayor, on the next item, since these are all on the consent calendar, rather than have the harbor master give a full report on each item, if there are specific questions, we can then just have him address those, because these are consent calendar items.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
But we did pull 6. Somebody wanted to pull 6. That was Mr. Olson, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Marshall. Just an additional condition for 6 would be if they're going to use a barge out at Pebbly, that's not our land, so they need to go to state lands and get a lease.
Okay, I put in here the California Coastal Commission.
State lands.
State lands.
Let's see.
I do know that the applicant for this particular item, both of them are here, so if you want to talk to either one of the twins, they're in the back, and they'd be happy to answer questions.
If you're going to install a barge in waters off the Pebbly Beach, you need to get a lease from the State Lands Commission. because
Ian and
that's-
Patrick, why don't you guys approach the podium if you don't mind?
I've
Ian
never
and Patrick
seen-
Alexander.
Yeah, I've never seen them together. They're not identical.
They are
Hello.
one shorter.
Need to go to Lobster Chop.
Do we have questions of the gentleman here?
You haven't decided whether you're going to operate from the shore from a barge, right?
No, we haven't solidified exactly what we're going to do. Actually, the barge is mainly going to be utilized just as a storage facility on the water so that it's easier for the sea-doos that they're not coming in and out of the water every single day, and that we could actually pull them onto our float and just be able to do general maintenance as, you know, simple flushes on the engines and whatnot. So that's pretty much all it's utilized for, and hopefully the shore is going to be used for orientation.
If I could also add, the owner of the boatyard had a storm this year, and his barge idea was actually, he helped us out with his idea. So I think that, you know, that kind of weighs in. He, you know, was the guy that helped to fix the shoreline over there when everything came crashing, and he feels the barge would be more beneficial for the sea-doos to have better security offshore.
Yeah, it's just, State Lands has an application to lease it. You just have to find where it's going to be and send them their $10,000 for their processing fee.
Will you guys have support from Caleb and the boatyard out there?
Excellent. Yeah.
Awesome.
We've
Good.
worked with Caleb for years, so I hope so.
That's a good thing. That would be great because he knows what he's doing. And I wanted to ask. There's a lot of swimming going on out towards Pebbly Beach. I know you guys know that. You're familiar with that. And matter of fact, you've addressed that. And so you're going to keep your business down towards Edison and down that way, correct? Except if you have to come into the harbor for repairs.
Yeah, that's correct. One thing that we did like to address on that is that utilizing the barge right off of the boatyard would be the best option for us because there's not a whole lot of places directly off of the Edison plant for customers to go ahead and board from shore, you know. So that's one thing. And another thing that we'd like to clarify is that there's another sea-doo barge on the other side of town. We'd like to also be able to operate west. Obviously, there's going to be boundaries here, you know, and boundaries meaning, you know, swimming areas, which would include Pebbly Beach, Descanso Beach, you know, the harbor, Lovers Cove. So everything would have its boundaries, and there would be a safety orientation to clarify that with, you know, customers.
Okay. Right. Good. That's good.
We actually want to use the Seaplanes runway.
Nice try. I don't think so.
Too many rocks.
We're here. Yeah.
There's one big rock in there.
You mentioned the boatyard, which leads me to remember that there used to be a Sea-Doo rental that operated from the boatyard directly out in front there, but they didn't have a barge or anything, which you guys are talking about. So I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention that that's already, as far as I know, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, there wasn't, I had never actually heard, when I was a harbor commissioner, never had heard any complaints about that operation being out there or any issues with swimmers or whatnot.
No, but the same recommendation in this staff report was what they did is operated east. The
Okay.
other jet ski barge, they don't come towards town. They go
the other way.
They are told to operate west towards Long Point. So it stays out of the Avalon area and congestion with the boats anchored and so forth.
I would feel really good if I understand you guys were just alluding to maybe going west a little ways with your jet skis. That's getting to me. I'm concerned about a liability issue because you do have swimmers, like I just mentioned, all those things: swimmers, boaters, tubers, recreational fishermen, people coming out of Avalon, people going into Avalon, pleasure craft. And now we're going to talk about seaplanes coming in. How fast do those jet skis go? 50 miles an hour, 40?
I would say they max out about 50 miles an hour.
Okay, that's coming in towards Avalon, going 50 miles an hour. That's getting scary to me. So I'm assuming that it would be a good idea if you guys do stay down. I mean, I'd be more apt to say yes, this is a good idea, staying down towards the quarry and down towards Shark Alley, as opposed to down towards Avalon, because that gets really crowded down in this area. That way, you guys would have the exclusive on that area. I think that would be a good idea. That way you got your own little domain down there.
I think after, I just kind of read this a little bit ago, but after reading it, I think what my main concern was it stated east of Edison Plant. And so as far as if we do get permission to do a barge in front of the boatyard, we wouldn't be able to get to our barge because that's west of the Edison Plant, but east of the boatyard.
Okay, I see. Yeah, no, I mean, no farther towards Avalon than that. I mean, especially
As long as
Pebble
we're
Beach.
allowed to access that, we're down to go east.
Yeah.
If you go west, I'll go east,
Yeah. That
So
sounds
would
like
it-
a song.
Would it be acceptable, Brian, for you if we change that to read, to stay east of, say, the,
East of the barge. So wherever the barge is, they go towards the east end. So the other jet ski operation stays on the other side of Avalon and they go west.
but does that, I don't know, oh, you might know, is there any issue with the helicopters landing when there's craft right below there?
Only if they don't make it to the pad.
Okay, I didn't know, but I know sometimes.
I don't know if right out in front of the boatyard is their flight pattern. They normally come from the west towards the
Okay.
I think the seaplane would be our only concern. If the guy shows up and we get him approved for the seaplanes, that's big time. We got 50 miles an hour on a jet ski, 120 miles an hour, or maybe 90 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour seaplane landing. That's
The seaplanes of Los Angeles, right?
they're probably going to come from wherever. They're on call, so they're on demand. So wherever that boat is out there that they're supposed to meet up with, but they definitely have a flight pattern that's going to be coming from the east end towards Avalon and from Avalon out towards the east end, but more out towards the ocean rather than towards where you guys are going to
As
be.
long as that's a safe guy and he can operate his business safely.
See, me and you, we know this, but the people that are going to be getting on your jet skis are not going to know it, and they're going to want to go wherever they want to go. So I'm just going to want to make sure you guys understand what the mentality of the people that get on these things. It's like Disneyland to them. So you're going to have to take it seriously on how you patrol and police and how you make sure that those people know what they're doing, because we don't want anybody getting hurt out there. It's, not your customers or not anybody who's swimming or whatever is going on.
We're both bartenders here in town, so we know how to handle Disneyland crazy folks.
So, a little clarification for me. Number one, you're actually going to call this Ghost Tours of Catalina?
No, that we actually own a tour business already, which operates in town already, which is Ghost Tours of Catalina Incorporated, which we also have Icons Avalon, which is our walking tours here in town.
Right, so if I'm going to advertise...
I'll clarify. Sorry, this is my part of the business. When we bought Ghost Tours, it was a corporation. So we actually bought the shares of the Ghost Tours of Catalina Incorporated. We submitted an application with Los Angeles County to do business as Tour Catalina. We've purchased tourcatalina.com, and we've been working on integrations to do our in-store and out-store sales strategies.
Okay, another question. You have your location of your business at 220 Beacon, which I understand is your residence. What is the storefront? Because you said something, briefed at agent storefront. What are you using for your storefront?
Well, for the future of this project, we intend on using a partner of ours on Front Street, High Tide Traders, as a tour reseller. And
Okay,
we
so that
also,
will be
using
not-
our upcoming system on tourcatalina.com, intend on having multiple channels
Sure.
as of that infrastructure.
And
hopefully in the lobby of Casino.cafe.
Because the one thing you do have to do is they have to sign waivers and you have to give them life jackets, correct?
Yeah, we have the coding ability to set that up on our form online.
Okay. But I mean, you have to, hand them
These
life
days,
jackets.
well, yeah, the waiver. Well, as far as the waivers go, we can, electronically do that these days.
Okay, so I have a question. The expansion of existing tour to include water tours will include fishing charters and coastal tours. Fishing charters on Sea-Doos?
No, we have two other vessels that we plan on doing the fishing charters and coastal tours with.
Should this just state what they're actually going to do and not fishing charters and coastal tours?
It's
all in.
It's all in there.
It's all combined in the staff report for the.
They have their
two
boats
different
listed on there.
businesses.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then they're going to be escorted to the designated float. How are they going to get there?
According to Avalon Municipal Code.
So they're going to have to use the shore boats?
Correct.
How do they get to the barge at Pebbly?
Assuming we're using a barge at Pebbly, we're intent on using the shore boats to get to the barge if we have to transport them from town.
So the shore boat doesn't run east of Avalon, so you'll make a deal with the shore boats to take them.
If they're not down to make a deal with us, we hope to do that ourselves.
Okay. I mean, it's a similar situation with the other applicant, so it seems like it should be the same.
It's opening up a whole nother branch of business out that way. So your charter boats, you will be picking up and dropping off on Float 5, correct? On the beach side of Float 5?
That's correct.
Okay, now you're operating 7 days a week, mostly throughout the year, correct?
I believe so. I think the application stated 4.
Okay, I want to make sure that we clarify exactly how that's gonna impact the traffic, because I know that Float 5 is pretty congested on cruise ship days. Sometimes is that correct? Can you make room for them in the harbor to bring in their boats? I mean, how many charters you can do? Up to 5 charters a day? Is that what you were saying on the agenda item?
On the recommended actions, number 1 is to unload and load their people on Float 5, except for cruise ship days, move it to the pier.
Okay, do you have, so you can accommodate that, Harbor Master? Okay, excellent, nice guys, good work. We're looking all right.
Okay.
Come look at the report.
We just got to work out a few things for sure. You got to work out that barge. I mean, that sounds like your best bet if you can work that out. But that's going to be a heck of an expense. And remember, you need to keep Caleb in connection with this, because if there's comes up a squall or something like that, you guys got to have good anchorage out there, really good, because there's a big swing of surge out there. It goes east and it goes west sometimes, and it goes both ways. So you got to have good anchorage.
We actually intend on, he gave us access to a barge that he currently has in the boatyard, and it's kind of an ugly looking barge, so if we can, make the shore over there look a little prettier by getting it a little off the shore, I think it might help out for the beachgoers in that area, not have to look at that.
Is there any reason, Brian, they couldn't go as far west or south or north, whatever that is, to Ring Rock?
I don't know if you want to mix 2 jet ski operations together in the same location.
Wait, maybe I don't know which Ring Rock. What is the rock?
I'm sorry.
Right on the other side of Abalone Point.
I was thinking Frog Rock. Yeah.
No, Ring Rock.
Yeah, Ring Rocks.
Yeah, that would be fine, but still it's under the State Lands Commission. They'd have to get the...
Right, but I mean, that might be, if they're wanting to come a little bit more this way, if they could maybe go to Ring Rock.
Very apprehensive of that idea.
Okay.
There's too much traffic down there. Everybody swims.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
In that whole area, there's a preserve down in that area. The boat tours go down there. I don't want to disrupt that. These guys would be perfectly fine down where they're at down there. Yeah, it's just because those things are noisy too, which is it's fine in the right application. But we start mixing that with swimmers and tour boats and seaplanes and fishermen and tubers, and it's you get the gist.
Point well made. Point well made. Okay. So, council, what's your pleasure?
My question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm a good listener.
Yes, you are.
My questions are, if you don't have a barge down there, you're just gonna tie them off out at sea a little bit on a floater or something, or a line to keep them all together?
We're currently talking with Caleb Linz about that, and he's giving us some ideas as to how, if we don't use a barge, how we could possibly utilize it like the past operation, like Cindy Cassidy had mentioned.
Okay, then my next question on maintenance or just fixing up stuff or storage of fuel, how do you fuel those? You take them to the gas dock, or you store fuel out there? What's your procedure for that?
Well, thanks. Now that the gas stock prices are looking awesome out there, appreciate that. If we can get access to, just like the other barge does, to come into town to refill, and I think they bring their boats in as they go empty.
So you just bring in each Sea-Doo to fill up as needed?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if we would get permission to be able to have a fueling facility on the water in any way, so we would have to come out. We would have to come into town.
What I'm getting at is storage of fuel. That's what I'm
Yeah,
getting at. If you have, I don't want to
see
see any fuel stored down at the boatyard.
I don't see any laws that allow us to
55-gallon
do that.
drums, you know, that kind of stuff, working on maintenance stuff, and then you got hazmat stuff.
I don't
There's
see
a lot of
the-
that concern with that.
I don't see the other, the barge bringing their sea-doos into the harbor. I mean,
No, I'm talking about maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good idea to figure out exactly
what they do to refill.
how you're going to dial in the fueling for sure, because bringing them in the harbor every time you need fuel.
They do bring their Sea-Doos into the harbor to refill. Standing on Casino Docks bar this summer, I watched that numerous times.
They don't do it all the time though. They don't make it
Oh, it's daily.
a regular practice.
I stood out there daily.
It might be
I stood
good
out there
Do
from
they do
morning
that?
to night.
Harbor Master?
To the best of my knowledge, they come in a skiff with 5-gallon cans and fill those up.
Nice.
Okay, so
That's
they
not
don't
what we
do it
want.
daily. They like I just said, they don't do it all the time. I mean, maybe one or two come in the harbor, but I mean, are you trying to say that that's what you're going to want to do?
I think the main objective, what I was actually trying to say was, I don't see how I can legally refill off of a barge, and if I can find a legal way to have fuel on the barge or have fuel at the boatyard so that we don't have to come into town and I can refill there, hey, power to us, we're going to do that because
Let's work
we
on
don't
that.
want to waste that gas.
Let's work on
But
a remedy
as we're
there.
trying to pursue, we're looking at legalities and, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but trying to look over the legalities of putting fuel on the barge out there, that seems a little, I'm not too sure if we can legally get
There's a
permission
lot
to
more
do that.
to that. There's, you know,
You know?
booms, blah, blah, blah.
So-
all this hazmat stuff. But even if you have something on storage on land, there's still stuff you have to comply with. Rules and regulations for safety, public safety, and all that, because you have petroleum out there too. So there's a lot more to that. So I'm just kind of interested on where you're going to do it
Oh, yeah.
and how you're going to fuel.
We intend to
That was
legally
my
pursue.
question.
Pursue legally.
Can you guys look into that? You guys are highly intelligent. I know that for a fact. You can research that for us, right? And we can remedy this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to see you guys
Well, as of
succeed.
right now, I don't believe that our barge can store fuel for refilling purposes legally. I've researched this and I don't understand how I could do that legally. If I can find another way around this, like such as bringing them to the shore at the boatyard to refill them there legally, if that's legal, if I can find, if we look this up and find out that that's allowed, we're down to do that. Any option that's going to allow us to operate our business so that we can grow our business and be productive members of this community is what we're interested in doing.
If I might on this one, just hearing the spirit of the discussion, we're obviously going to want the fire department to weigh in and make sure that we don't introduce any type of fire hazard clearly. So it sounds like for the immediate future, the solution is simply going to the fuel dock and
For the
filling up
safe and
there.
the better.
And as perhaps assuming you provide an approval and the business develops, you can approach the fire department and we could talk about what options might be acceptable to the city and to the property owner.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We want to be good guys. Make more money. Good luck.
And I know Brian will be watching out, so. Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 6, the waterside permit application for Ghost Tours of Catalina.
Okay. Is there a second?
Well, I will say,
Did the stipulation get put on there regarding the state lands lease and an okay from the fire department regarding fueling operations?
Correct, yeah.
exactly, yeah. I want you guys to seek that, and if you vigorously try to accomplish that, that would be most appreciated. And I think that'd be a lot easier, and it'd save you the problems of having to come into the harbor and refuel. I second the motion.
Okay, and let me just ask another question before I ask for more public comment. Is anything about that deal with the shore boats, that's on there as well? I'm sorry.
Yes, number 6, that they require the applicant to use the current shoreboat operator who holds the exclusive
Okay.
contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, is there any other comment? Okay, let's call for the vote. Good luck, gentlemen.
All ayes.
Okay, general business.
Mayor, before we move on, I didn't want to bring this particular thing up while discussing any individual waterside permits, but I'd been thinking about this for the last few weeks, and I don't know how many of my council members know that I've been intricately involved in the harbor since moving to the island 9 years ago, and have history running businesses in the harbor, was a harbor commissioner, and currently have a lot of access with businesses and whatnot. And one of the things that's been really difficult for me over the past few years is to watch the lack of consideration, if you will, from waterside permit holders following the rules, following what their particular permits say, what their responsibilities are. And I've actually watched and I've heard many instances where the harbor department has actually tried to go out and do some enforcement and has oftentimes fell upon deaf ears or has been not really viewed as not following the rules, but basically kind of people running amok. I know a couple of years ago, Harbor Master Bray brought forward a recommendation of a disciplinary action for a waterside permit holder, and part of the council had actually admonished him for bringing the matter forward. And I think that may have created some concern of, well, we want people to follow the rules, but if we take something to the council, are they going to back us up in us doing our job, or are they going to say, why do this? And that sort of creates that thought process of why try to make everybody follow the rules. So I'm really excited about all of these new permit applications. I know we can do a lot more work in the harbor. I know that there's many opportunities. I love all these businesses that are coming forward. But I would like for the harbor department to feel that sense of support from the council, that as they go out there and start working with permit holders again, that we are going to back them up, and that we are going to take every possibility and review any recommendation or investigate as we need to and back up the harbor department. As I see this happening, I see people staying on floats for hours at a time, taking up space that people should be moving through, maybe some safety things not being followed here or there, but I want to see this council really give that support to the harbor to go out there and do the policing we need to do. So.
Absolutely. Good point, Cindy.
Yeah.
And you do have our support, Harbor Master Bray. Anything you need.
Very good. Okay.
Okay, general business, item number 9. This is another waterside permit application. This is for the proposed Catalina Aqua Park. On this one, I will ask the harbor master to give a brief presentation on this one. And I think the applicant is with us as well this evening.
I'll try to be brief, Ben, but all right, if you want to go through it. Mr. Diodaro has submitted a waterside project application to install a modular aqua park inside the swim area between the Blue Water Grill, or Blue Water Avalon, and Antonio's restaurants. The aqua park would be open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week in the months May through September. Avalon has limited swimming space available to the public, and it's my opinion the project will result in a substantial alteration to the city's present use of the swim area in the harbor, and it will generate additional congestion on the limited beach space at high tide while patrons are waiting. The noise created by the use of the aqua park will negatively affect the adjacent businesses, the 2 restaurants. The project may increase hazard to swimmers. It may obstruct the scenic vista and the view open to the public, and which could be considered aesthetically offensive. It may restrict or alter the existing coastal access, and even though a private lifeguard will be assigned to the aqua park, it may result in a need for additional LA County lifeguard services. And then if you go through section 10-2.416, it says how a waterside permit can be issued. It says the project won't result in a substantial alteration to the city's present planned uses of Avalon Harbor. And goes on down to say that it won't result in the need for new utilities. The project won't obstruct any scenic vista or view to the open public, and will not result in the creation of an aesthetically offensive site which is open to public view. Staff does not believe that the project can comply with the criteria for the issuance of waterside permit. It's staff's opinion that the impacts are cumulatively significant and cannot be mitigated. If the City Council approves the application, the applicant would need to obtain a coastal development permit and, Foley, correct me if I'm wrong, State Lands Commission approval. So my recommendation is to deny the application submitted by Catalina Aqua Park as it required affirmative findings set forth in the municipal code for approval for a waterside permit cannot be met. And alternatively, you can hear the presentation from Mr. Diavero and give staff direction on how the council would like to act.
Okay, thank you. Joe, would you like to come forward? How do you pronounce your last name?
Dalbero.
Dalbero, okay.
It's not that bad, guys. It just looks bad. Well, I've heard everything that I need here. You guys, you know that we have given you lots of information on the park that we're proposing. It's all modular. We can change it to suit whatever the council decides that they would like to see. As far as blocking the vista, most of that park is like 4 feet tall, guys. You know, I mean, it's not a big, huge thing. One of the slides will be 15 feet high, but it comes to a point. If we put it in the park behind the Blue Water or Antonio's, it will be on the same level as the railing around their patio. So you're not going to be blocking much of anything as far as that is concerned. So anyway, we have given you lots of information on this thing. One of the things that we would like to emphasize is the simple fact that this is a family entertainment center. This is for everyone. Some of the things we've seen in the town are lots of changes are coming around, but those things are not all aimed at family. We are aiming this at family, okay? So, and we are aiming this at people from 1 to 75 years old, or whoever wants to go on the thing. We will not, of course, take 1-year-olds, but we will take 1 to 7-year-olds with their parents, and they will go free because they're not going to take up that much space or whatever, okay? So this will be give us a spot in town for quality time for families. Clubs can use the thing, and you can go, everybody will be welcome on the thing from toddlers all the way through to geriatric patients if you really want to go that far. There we are. So we will what we're trying to do here with this thing is accommodate everybody and anybody. One whole section of this will be set aside for people, younger kids, smaller kids, so that they won't be pushed off the side. Cindy was saying something about the floats. Kids go down there and they swim on those floats. The bigger kids stand up on that float, and when the little kids come along, they won't let them climb up on it. They push them off, and so the little kids, that won't be happening with us. Okay, so we're going to promote fun. We're going to promote physical fitness because the kids will it's kind of an obstacle course kind of a thing as well. So there'll be lots of that kind of thing like that. We will have a safe environment for everybody because all the people who are going to go onto the aqua park are going to have Coast Guard approved life jackets on. They are not going on the park without a life jacket. We will provide the life jackets. Okay? This is something new. It's environmentally friendly. I'm pretty good for it. I'm kind of an environmentally friendly guy, you know, my segways and all that kind of stuff like that. This is the same thing. There's no impact on the environment. This will be, a lot of people say to me, what about the people, the other businesses around? This will be a boost for nearby businesses. People can't sit on the beach right now and the kids are in the water and they're playing in the water and the people have to stand there and watch those kids. What we will be doing in essence is becoming babysitters. So the people whose kids that couldn't get off the beach and go get lunch or get a drink or an ice cream cone or whatever can do that now. And I see a lot of people getting off the beach, going up into blue water if that's where we decide to put it, or you decide to put it, that's up to you guys, and having lunch and watching their kids play. You know, they'll be able to see them better from up there than they will be, you know, from the beach. Now, one of the things that is misleading about what Brian had said is that we have asked for the area behind the Blue Water and Antonio's. Well, we gave you guys 3 options. One was behind the Blue Water, one was behind Antonio's, because those places, they're underutilized. No one swims out there, and so if we're going to be taking a public swim area, that's completely misused and underutilized nowadays, okay? One of the other things that we said, options that we gave you was in the corner by Crescent and where Pebbly Beach and Crescent come together down there. That area where the rec department had their polo deal. That's another area that's very underutilized. No one swims out there. They swim out from the beach straight out. They go to the float. They go to here or there. That's an area that's being completely underutilized, and we would put it there as well. The reason we gave you options was that you guys, the council, could decide where would be the best or the most appropriate place for it. Okay? I've gone down and talked to the people at the Blue Water. Okay? They haven't any problem with it. If noise becomes a problem, which they said, well, the owners have kids, they're down with it, so there's no problem there. So, and the reason that those units, the reason that we chose those particular locations was because we went through here and through the harbor along the swim line and measured the water at extreme high tide and extreme low tide. And those are the places when we have the lowest tides that have enough water to make the park viable. We have to have a minimum of 6 feet of water. We don't need a lot of water. We have to have a minimum of 6 feet of water, and in those places at extreme low tide, that's what they have. A lot of places along the swim line at extreme low tide, only 2 or 3 feet deep. It wouldn't work. Now, you guys, I know that a lot, you know, that we're talking about the things that most people haven't seen, but you have. You've seen the slide. The slide is a zero entry slide. The kids go down that slide and they hit the water and they go in the water this way rather than this way. So they're not going to be hitting the bottom, you know, stuff like that. They won't be jumping off the top of that because it's got a railing all along the thing. The rest of that stuff is, you know, from 1 foot to 4 feet tall. That's it. I mean, you know, the tallest thing besides the slide is the lifeguard station. Okay? And we will have a lifeguard, a certified lifeguard on hand. And also, we have in mind hiring some of the local junior lifeguards that they're in the advanced courses, the older kids, to help patrol the outside of it. We will put a perimeter around the outside of it, a safety buoys, so that we can delineate who is whom, so to speak. And we will go there. The junior lifeguards will be on what they call lifeguard boards, and they will be able to access any of it. So we'll have 3 safety people on as well as whoever is around on the shore. Okay? As far as a storefront is concerned, we didn't go looking for a storefront as yet. We've looked at a couple of different options. We haven't gone one because we haven't decided you haven't decided where we should put this. Should we put it down there by Crescent? Should we put it behind the Blue Water? That makes a lot of difference of where we're going to put our storefront. Okay? So there's Though I'm trying to answer all of the questions you may have. We gave you some pictures and we photoshopped a few pieces and parts in there so you can see what they're like. And those are not to scale, but it's pretty close. The thing is, the park is probably oversized in those pictures. It's not quite that long, quite that bad. So we will provide insurance. We are in contact with 6 or 7 different people who provide insurance like this. One of the things we are not going to put on there is a trampoline, because the trampoline is going to be uncontrollable, so to speak. We won't be able to keep kids from bouncing on top of each other, and we don't want that. So, like I say, we'll have a special area set aside for young people, younger kids, and parents with small toddler types, or those types like that. We will keep that separate, though the other, they will be intermingled or mixed up, so we won't be running the little ones off. Okay. We'll provide, like I say, we'll provide the city with insurance, of course, and we'll provide our own insurance. And I've always done that anyway. Part of the municipal code. We have to, we have to give you guys insurance for it, and it's only good sense, good business.
Well, I think you've covered it very well. So let's open it up to the council for comments and questions.
Sure.
Thank you. And Martine, did you want to say something?
Martine and I are in this, guys, in case you're interested in that. Okay. We have been working on this for 2 years. Okay. As far as the Coastal Commission is concerned, we have been talking to them for 2 years. They are waiting right now for approval from the council before we go any farther. If the council gives us an approval, we will go on with the permit. So if not, then there's no use of spurring a dead horse.
Okay, thank you.
There was another thing. We have gone around and talked to quite a few people in town and put this forth to people. We have had great reception from this. People think it's a good idea. Yeah. It's a good place for the kids in the summertime. We have conferred with the sheriff's department. Doug's back there, and Doug can tell you, as far as, from what I understand from Doug, he thinks it's a pretty good idea. He has his own reasons for it, and if you like, I'm sure be more than happy to tell you
let's bring it back to the council. And
okay,
thank you. And if you just want to sit close in case we have questions, council. You can just have a seat. I don't know if she's.
Just off the cuff, I really like this whole the idea of it. I like all the pieces together, and it looks like it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm one of those people that just have been talked to just briefly before I saw any of the information and thought, wow, this is a great idea, and I would enjoy it myself. So that being said, I have 2 issues. One is the location. Antonio's and the Blue Water area, I don't think is a good location for this. One, the size of the whole park in general. There is a tremendous amount of swim traffic that does use that area to do lap swimming and whatnot. So there's maybe more than you've seen in general, but there is quite a bit of swim use. We have very little public swim area in the city of Avalon in general. So my questions would be, have you looked at other locations such as inward of Pebbly Beach area or Descanso Beach or near the dive park between Descanso Beach? So that's my first question, is what you've thought about and worked on. And my second question is, I can't under any circumstances find it that you would only need 1 lifeguard. And I appreciate that you would bring in certified lifeguard, so that would be a requirement, obviously. And just speaking to it, the junior lifeguards would not foot the bill for that. I mean, they're not, that's not a certification class. This is a recreation class, think of it in that terms. So I want to make sure that is completely stricken from it, because junior lifeguard program is basically to teach swimming and teach how to keep yourself safe in the water, and it's team building and all kinds of other wonderful things, but it absolutely would not foot what you would need for lifeguard. And then what about after hours? How would you intend to secure the facility during after hours? So those are my main questions.
We can hear Nancy's questions. As far as junior lifeguards are concerned, we want to give the local kids something to do and some employment. We will try to hire here locally for the first guys. If we have to hire people and send them out to have them certified, we will do that. Or we will find the people who are certified, so on and so forth. As far as that's concerned, if it takes 2 lifeguards, we'll put on 2 lifeguards. We want this to be a safe and friendly place for people to go. Okay? If the city council is opposed to us using junior lifeguards like that, we won't do it. It's as simple as that. Okay? As far as people swimming by, we've proposed in some of this material that we would leave a space between the swim line and the back of the lifeguard station, which would be the closest thing to the swim line. That is not a problem. If the location, that's the reason we gave you 3 different locations, guys, so you could pick the location that suited you the best. Okay? Now, we are happy with any of those locations, because all we really care about is water depth at the extreme low tide. That's it. We will have this thing, if it goes forward, we will have professionals come in and show us how to do this the first time, so that we will know what we're doing. And we have that capability. And the people who make those modules that I showed you have a crew that goes worldwide and does this. So that's who we would bring in, at least for the first time. We need the training on how to repair all this stuff as well. So that's where we would be with that. Okay? Does that help?
What about looking at, I mean, to me, the perfect location is Descanso Beach.
Well, that's the problem, is that's Island Company land, and
But they don't own the water.
well, yeah, but then we have no access. So the problem is access to it from the beach. Okay. And as far as Pebbly and that area out that way, problem with that is the swell. You know, there's just too much. There's too much tide and too much swell there. Right? So there is a problem with that. As far as night time is concerned, guys, we will hire security. Obviously, we'd have to. So we'll have somebody on night shift watching out for everything. Okay, anything else? Cindy?
My concerns are just the concerns of the harbor master. I like the idea, by the way. I love the idea. In concept, it looks good. It looks. I think it's a little deceiving because some of the pictures we have, some of the elements of this are massive and they're tall. And but what I'm understanding is that you can put together any configuration you want, correct?
We can put together any configuration that we want, or that you think will fit the picture.
Okay, and to address Councilman Cassidy's concern about having an open swimway for recreation swimmers, people that just like to enjoy the water as it is.
Swimmers, sure, absolutely.
You know, maybe we can have some kind of a right of way. That is, if we go ahead and entertain this idea. I'd rather have it in Avalon than anywhere else, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's eye candy and it is like a floating babysitter. But
it will be a fun babysitter, guys, and it needs to be in Avalon, so it'll draw the people to Avalon. We don't want to send them to Descanso Beach. We want people to come here and enjoy themselves in Avalon, so when they go back and they say, boy, I really like going to Catalina Island. Okay? And they're not going to say, well, we're going out to Descanso Beach. We're going to Catalina. We're in Avalon. We're having fun.
We will have, as far as the location by the volleyball courts, we're going to have our water polo nets up, correct, this year as well?
That's
Right,
the
yeah,
plan.
so we've got that location for our water polo, and then we're going to have our own swim float on the South Beach, which is just perfect out there. But I think a small, maybe I could start off by first off addressing some of the harbor master's concerns, because he's the one that's giving us recommendations. He's the professional. He knows, he's the expert in the harbor that knows exactly what the safety issues are and what the liability issues are and what the pros and cons of this thing are. So working with him closely is going to be key to this. Of course. Some of the massive elements on it, we might want to hold off, but I think it's something that I could certainly entertain, because I want to keep the people in Avalon. Avalon is a beautiful place. We have lots of vendors in Avalon. You're right. We could keep the kids entertained, and their parents could watch them. And this is where we want the action to be, is right here in this town. And we want to keep it in town. I don't want to send it down towards the other place.
I agree with you. We need the action to be in town. We
configuration-
don't need the action to be at Pebbly Beach.
The configuration, I would love to see you get on track with the harbor master and work this out, maybe also with the recreation department, and find out what a good first fit would be for the location, keeping in mind Councilman Cassidy's concerns, what she addressed, because I think she made some good points. But
Councilman Sampson, if I could add
Yes,
just
sir.
one more comment. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right.
If you were considering this concept, I think one thing you also should discuss, it sounds like there's the possibility that there's an admission fee that's proposed to be charged.
Of course.
And a space that's designated, obviously. So it's a foregone conclusion, but it's not referenced in this document, that the city would want to lease any space if that was going to be the concept.
Oh, yeah.
That would be my next
Right.
question, but
That's-
probably to Brian, is would this be treated like a mooring, or how?
No.
This is something.
No, we would consider this, among the other leased properties that we have under the new terms, we'd find the appropriate category. It wouldn't be outdoor dining.
Is it square footage plus admissions?
I would have to look at the proposal, but we want to know, like, first things first, right? I mean, if you guys are going to consider approving this, obviously, then we're going to talk about location, size, and so forth, and we have to come back.
And I would think it would be more of a harbor use fee versus admissions tax.
Right.
They're using.
No, I'm
city
talking about
facilities.
actually leasing the space from the city.
If the proposal, as I understood it, was that this is going to be, there's going to be markers, and people are going to pay admission, and so this certain area of the harbor is off limits unless you pay.
It's an exclusive space, and
Yeah,
so
it's
under
basically,
that-
yes, and so therefore,
It fits the definition.
correct.
So with that, I'm concerned of commercial use in a limited area of the swim space that we have. Remember that we have the outriggers that have been here, I think it's 54 years now, that we have anchored them in that swim area one day a year in September in the area that you're proposing to put this. And a big thing is the surge conditions. Who's going to watch after it, and who's going to, save it from when the surge breaks it free?
Isn't it just air? I mean, it's, what damage can it do to something? If it's just air, right?
If the
If
surge
it's plastic.
free to blow up on the beach.
I mean,
on
I'm
beach
trying to
lane,
figure out what the
wait till
damage
surge is
control might
over.
be there. Personally, I kind of like a little something for kids to do, because there's so many kids down on the beach, and we've all been down there. All your little kids, toddlers to 8, 9-year-olds, they're walking, running up and down the beach. There's really not too much for them to do if they don't know how to swim too well, or whatever the case may be. And they don't all go on kayaks. They don't go on the motorboats. I kind of like this kind of.
There's no parasail.
I kind of like the concept of it. As for the place, I think that seems to be a big issue. I would think there would be, if we worked at it with the water polo thing, we can move it or move stuff over. I think one of the things when you come in, when you come into town,
1 day a year,
but when you
we can shut the thing down and let them in there. You know what? We won't have any problem with the outriggers. It's 1 day a year. We're going to run, and also we have this. We probably will operate from 10 to 6 rather than from 9 to 7. 10 to 6, May through September. That's about it. That's all we're going to. That's the whole thing, guys. And of course, we're going to want to charge admission for it. My name is not Bill Gates.
What was your concern, Councilman?
No, I was just saying with a little work, you might be able to work it in that corner. I like that area where everybody comes in, everybody's seeing this thing. If we could size it down, or we have options to do that. We could work with the water polo things and move things around. I kind of think it would be kind of a fun thing, even if we did a temporary thing. Maybe try it 1 year.
And one of the things about
we could always say, hey, you got your one chance at it. It didn't work out well. And so be it.
Sure.
That's just my 2 cents. I kind of.
I hate to cut. I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry, but
Trying to help you out.
As far as this thing is concerned, it hooks together.
Jesus.
Yeah, Lord.
Go on.
Anyway, guys, the thing hooks together. It hooks out with bungees and hooks. If it has to come out, we can take it out immediately. If there's a surge coming, or there's a storm coming, we can pull the thing and deflate it in a heartbeat. It doesn't take very long at all. One guy in a wetsuit can go around there and unhook the whole thing in a matter of minutes. It does not take near as many anchors to put that thing down as what you would assume. I assumed it would take a lot of them. Talking to the experts, it doesn't take that many.
As a suggestion, we could certainly table this item. We could address some of the concerns that I've heard this evening. I'd be happy to work with the harbor master and the applicant to go through. I heard concerns about location, hours of operation, conflict with potential events, weather. So there's a number of things we could address and bring this back at a future meeting if the council so directs us to do that. That's fine.
I would just like to say that I'm very much in favor of the project. And as we, explore new horizons and we look at new exciting things to happen, because everybody says we need new things in Avalon, keep people coming back, and we have, to me, that float, those kids don't have life jackets on. They're pushing people off. I mean, to me, and that's a hard surface, that's not a safe surface. So I think this is very exciting. I would like the harbor and the city to embrace the change and to see how we can make it work, because I think it's phenomenal. And I salute you for bringing something very innovative and creative to Catalina. So, because maybe we ought to vote, because if there's a vote that says, no, we don't want it at all, but are we hearing that we want we want to work on this, or we want to vote?
I'm more inclined to see the Harbor Recreation Department and the applicants spend a little more time and bring this back at the next meeting. Because, and I guess I'm not in favor of the location in front of Antonio's in the Blue Water, but I could be certainly persuaded in the corner, but I would like to see everybody kind of communicate, so.
And it really truly is up to the Harbor Department and what y'all think would work.
Well, I don't have any trouble working with Brian. We work together quite a lot in the Lions Club, so, we know each other. It's not a big deal.
Cool.
We can make it work.
Did you have a comment?
Sounds like a good direction.
Okay.
I'd like to see if you can bring some kind of video too, maybe a slideshow or something that shows these things in action, so we could see. I mean, that would be helpful. I mean, all these things suggestions that we're making, and once again emphasize working with the harbor master. I think people are tending to underestimate and underplay the things that the ocean can bring at us. And regardless of how big the anchor is or how soft the material is. This thing can wind up in you know, we get a big squall coming up, it can wind up, you know, in the middle of CC Gallagher's, you know, right through the window. I mean, I'm saying
Yeah, sure,
it can be pulled off its anchor. So I'm really tending to push the emphasis towards working with the harbor master and then bringing this back and showing us some videos and think about all the concerns that the city council has brought to you, because I think we're into it, but we want to make the shoe fit the foot, you know.
Okay, that's fine with me, guys. You know, I'm willing to do what it takes to get the thing done. I think it'd be a great asset for the town. Good thing for the kids. And, you know, we don't want to, I don't really care to put it outside of Avalon.
Right.
Put it inside Avalon where we'll do just the town itself some good.
I really appreciate
Okay.
you
Thank you.
opening up this new, like, my words mark what Annie said. I appreciate what you've done here and bringing this forward.
There's only one other unit, something like this, in all of the coastal waters of California. If we put this in, we'll be number 2.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And since it is a regular agenda item, does anybody else want to come up and comment? Public comment?
It's an interesting concept. My name's Paula Patterson. And I just wanted to know, the location is also what I have concern about, is if it's proposed to be in front of Blue Water and Antonio's. I sort of like the corner idea. My question is, and this is the first I've heard of this, so I'm not really sure, but how would you charge admission and how would people get there? You'd have to figure out an access point, right? Wouldn't you? I mean, that's just a question to ponder.
One thought might be wristbands or something like that. You could have methods to, you know, check. That's commonly what people do for.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but, you know, just simply to get to the water park, I mean,
You
you
walk-
have to have
He
walk
has,
on.
he has floating rafts.
He has a, yeah.
There's a ramp, a
There's a
floating ramp
ramp
that you can walk
What
on.
I saw.
And people can swim.
I loved your suggestion to see some kind of video, something in action or something proposal like that. I think it's really, I mean, I love the idea of the corner. I think that's.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
It'd be nice to see.
I can't visualize it, you know, it's tough, but super. Mine? Come take a look. Thank you.
Just, yeah, and then just, if you wouldn't mind, just give it back to Joe.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Good evening, Jim Lujohan, President of the Catalina Island Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. I too have seen an informal presentation from the applicant. It has not come before our board for any formal action of support, but I can say in general, family-friendly waterborne activities along our harbor would be something that certainly would enhance the visitor experience. And provided you can come up with a solution for a safe and appropriate location, I feel the board probably would be supportive should we ask them for that support.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Doug Federal. Since Joe mentioned me, I just wanted to add a little bit to that. I've known Martina and Joe for a couple of years now, and on both of their businesses, whenever I've had talks with them, safety has usually come up, and they've always been very open to any suggestions or providing me with information about the safety of their businesses. So I know they're very safety conscious. I hate to go against anything Brian recommends or suggests, and he's certainly the expert. And even though I think it's good for tourism to have something like this, I think for our kids in the community, giving them something to do, it's one of the first ideas the 3 years that I've been here that's something for the kids. And when I saw the looks on the kids' faces when I showed them some of the pictures, it was like a Christmas morning type thing. So I think for our kids in the community, it would be great. So it's just.
Thank you, Doug.
John Monroe, Recreation Department. In meeting with Brian to talk about this item, both of us, I think, are in favor of increasing kid activities or family-friendly activities in the harbor. It just was the location the idea that you're closing an open public recreation area to make it a paid closed recreation area, those were our main concerns. So that is, both of us in talking about it, we're hoping that there was a way that that this could happen, but just outside of the public space of our local harbor, which is so small. We had several nights that we held our water polo out this last summer that they just stopped playing because they were in less than waist deep water. So in that corner area, I mean, I would just want to see what their study said that it was deep enough. Because, I mean, it is certainly deep enough many days, but that was, you know, a whole handful of days just in this one summer alone that we had, that it would not be adequate. And then that's, I'll just echo Brian's concern that you're considering closing a public recreation free space in exchange for a paid closed space. When we can certainly add, you know, free water amenities if you wanted to see additional recreation spaces that are open to the public, like the swim float. If you wanted to see additional other options for within the swim area that are, you know, monitored.
Cheap.
it could be, that could definitely be an option. So just to put that out there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Points.
Do we look forward to you all working together and coming back to us? Okay.
Interesting. It brings money into the city.
We will be trying to issue season passes for the local people, for the kids. And we will have days that, and our slower days, that the local kids will be able to go from nothing, but next to nothing.
Right.
So that we are not trying to take advantage of the locals.
Right.
We want the people who come here to pay for this thing, so that the local kids and local people can use it as well.
I understand that, Joe. Thank you very much. Any other comments before we go on to the next item? Okay, item 10.
Okay, item number 10 is the Vehicle Noise Ordinance Administrative Procedure Timeline Update. I'll wait a moment.
Okay. Okay, we're going to continue on item 10.
Right, so as council is well aware, this past year we commenced applying the municipal code as it relates to vehicle noise testing. It was a learning experience for the city and for the community. We took stock along the way and some rocks as well. Anyway, at this point, we're at a junction where, as you know, we're about ready to commence the vehicle registration season again. And people plan on this, especially for our folks that don't live here full time. It's just a habitual time when they come over and they expect that to take place. So we're recommending a little bit of a change this year, wherein we don't test as part of the registration process, because we just did that. We feel we covered most vehicles in town. We think the appropriate thing at this time would be move to an enforcement type approach, wherein if we hear a vehicle that is loud, we then are able to cite for that offense and allow the individual to come up to City Hall, and we can actually test as needed. So with that, Jordan will do his best to give a brief presentation, although he's very passionate about this topic, as you well know. And Captain Federal is here also. We've been working with the Sheriff's Department, with the City Attorney's Office, as part of our decriminalized offenses that we've discussed with you. This would be one of them. So Jordan, if you would just elaborate on where we are and what's next and what we need council's input on. Thank you.
So as you know, we did do vehicle noise testing systematically as part of the annual vehicle registration, where we tested almost 1,600 vehicles. We identified loud zones. We gave them an opportunity to fix themselves for a 6-month grace period. We had many of them come back. We had many of them get repaired and meet the noise requirements. Through the experience, we learned that the major contributors to vehicle noise are the type of the engine, the size of the engine, the overall configuration of the vehicle, and the maintenance of the vehicle, the maintenance being the key factor. One of the big questions that we've received from the community, some of the very few feedback that I've received directly from the community, is the fact that they'll hear vehicles on the street that have current city permits, which means they must have passed the vehicle noise testing, but they sound loud. So why is that? And some of the reasons that we have that is, the main one is that at the time in which they passed the test, they were not loud. And since then, things have gone wrong to make them louder. Now, there are a couple factors that could have caused them to be not loud during the test. One that we got better at managing was the fact that it was an inaccurate test, meaning that the vehicle wasn't operated at its full capacity. So the person didn't drive as fast, or they let off on the accelerator as they were passing by the sound level meter. Not necessarily stating that people were intentionally trying to deceive, but that to get people to drive accurately in that situation wasn't always the easiest, and it took us a little bit of time to figure that out. But since the biggest contributor is maintenance over time, we feel that it's really important to continue to address this issue by taking it kind of to the next level, taking it to the streets and putting enforcement on the streets, and identifying specifically those loud vehicles that are in operation that we all hear going by saying, okay, it's too loud, and letting people know that we are really serious about this, and taking it from a 6-month grace period now to, this is a ticketable offense that you have a short window to fix. You have now had a year, everyone is very aware that this is going on, and we need people to be aware that this is something that they need to continuously take care of, not something that they can put off until the last minute, because it's in their best interest to maintain their vehicle, because not only does it keep the cost down over time, but it keeps the noise level down. So we feel that due to our limited resources and to maximize the efficiency of our resources, that at this stage it's best to take enforcement to the streets and specifically identify and target vehicles that are in operation loud. One of the other reasons for this recommendation is that many of the vehicles that we have identified as being excessively loud in operation on the streets are operating illegally. So we didn't actually see them come up to City Hall. They didn't go through the process because they either don't have a current city permit, or they have stolen plates, or other numerous reasons. So if we don't ever see them, there's currently no way for us to go after those excessively loud vehicles. So we want to take it to the streets at this point and implement the program. Now, that means that next year we still have opportunities to assess and reevaluate and determine, do we need to do another systematic check and kind of get everybody going that way, or is this method working efficiently and we can continue? Do we want to schedule it out in a few years? So this is for the residential autoettes. We're still moving forward with systematically checking the other vehicle categories. So the rental vehicles, we'll be starting with the commercial autoettes. So we are moving through the other categories and doing a systematic check of them so we can get a complete set of data, understand generally how loud they are, come up with a recommendation to manage that, or how to deal with those, and move forward with that category. But we feel with the residential autoettes, this is the best approach to kind of continue to put the responsibility on the vehicle owners to make sure that they're taking care of their vehicles.
Cool. Personally.
Comments, anyone?
Have you thought about maybe doing the systematic testing every other year or every 3 years just to keep up on it?
Yeah, and that's absolutely what I think our intent would be, is we do this season with the spot checking, and then as we get close towards next registration period, we do an assessment, and if we can kind of determine, hey guys, we really have got noise under control, then we can continue with doing this. But if it's something that we think, we should just kind of keep it in people's minds, keep them active, because if we let them slide, so to speak, people will take advantage of it. So to stay on top of it for their sake, as well as for ours, we should move to every other year, a third every year, however we want to do that. I think we'll be better informed to come up with a policy for that after this season doing this thing. And then after that, we can keep evaluating. I think it's something that we can kind of always modified to meet the needs to maximize our efficiency of resources and efficiency of enforcement.
And my other question is, I don't want to make any assumption, but I see several, maybe several is not a fair word, golf carts that have the green temporary permits on them. And they're clearly very loud. And we are a year past when we started this and 6 months past the 6-month leniency. So I guess would like to be more informed because I'm very uncomfortable seeing a temporary permit given to a vehicle that is very loud. So whether that's another reason they have the temporary permit or whether they're allowed to drive on a temporary permit because they're potentially going to make changes, I'm not sure. The appearance is that, and I just want to know if that's the case.
Without knowing specifics of which permits, Dudley might be able to speak better on that.
Yeah, maybe if we could, bring
I wouldn't be able
Dudley
to know.
for that.
There are some circumstances in which people get different permits. One would be, well, the main would be is if like they're buying a vehicle from someone else and then going through the process of changing it over into their name. While that vehicle may have been certified as a passing vehicle at the time in which it got its sticker, and the administrative procedure said that once a vehicle passes that year, that passing paperwork continues with the vehicle for the permit year. Mm-hmm. So then the next person who buys it doesn't have to run through the vehicle noise test. They can continue and come up and get it. So the vehicle may have gotten louder, but they're now getting it under this registration, and then the next time they wouldn't pass. But we're recommending to everybody that when they're getting a new vehicle that they run it through because they're taking on the responsibility of having a loud vehicle, and once we start ticketing, they would be subject to getting a ticket.
Right.
Dudley, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, one of the reasons you're seeing a lot of green permits on those windows, Jordan alluded to this too, is that the cars have changed hands in between and they may have gotten louder. What happened this year was because, and I think some of it was caused by our noise testing, a lot of people changed out cars this year. So I ran out of stickers about 2 months ago. So I didn't have enough on hand to keep on giving them, and there was no reason I could keep them off the road at the time. So I issued those to get them through into our new stickering period.
Okay.
So if they're out there and they're loud, enforcement should be able to get them. And I think Doug will probably address some of his ideas about enforcement. But one of the things Jordan did bring up, is a second job. There's a few of us that have to work 2 jobs to stay alive. So we're, Councilman Hernandez and myself, we drive patrol on the weekends. So we're out there seeing a lot of cars. And I can tell you a lot of the vehicles that you were probably earmarking because of this noise problem are, again, out there on the street illegally. They never came by here. They're stolen cars, they're stolen plates, they're out of date, they have no stickers on them. So those are the ones I think are a major part of that noise problem, and enforcement's going to have to take care of that. So.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion?
Just what we never did get through, but I see here that we're going to do it with the rental place car business. We never did get through those guys, correct?
Yeah, when we had them scheduled up here, we had a calibration issue with the sound level meter, so we weren't getting readings that I felt were accurate. So we sent it back for calibration, have since received the unit back, so then we're working just to reschedule with the remaining rental fleet. So then we'll be bringing them up individually and testing them, and then we're going to be working out a timing and procedure to test the commercial autoettes as their permit expires. But as you know, it's spread out throughout months throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be able to give a comprehensive review of the commercial autoettes until we go through a whole year. But since there's, I forget the number, 100 of them or so.
120?
It's not substantial, but it's significant. So we feel comfortable taking a year to evaluate them and look for solutions for them.
Great. And I think you had explained, somebody had said something about maybe a ride-along code enforcement and law enforcement or something. What was I hearing? Or
Well, that's certainly available to any council member at any time.
Yeah, but still.
No, it's code enforcement with law enforcement. Who shared that with me today? Where am I making, oh, I'm hearing things. It's those voices in my head.
But again, it comes to a moving violation, which code can't write a ticket, correct? Doug?
Yes, I didn't want to interrupt you. Yeah, code enforcement can't make traffic stops. We can, if it was the city's desire to have some of these vehicles cited. My initial thought was, I don't see a problem with code enforcement getting in one of our vehicles and going with us. I'd have to check with my department for liability reasons about that, but my first thought was we'd be willing to help in any way we can. If it's to cite people that we see administratively, I check with county council and we can do that. Typically we cite criminally and send them to the court down the street. But if the wishes of the council were to for us to begin citing administratively for the noise violations, we can do that.
I believe it.
That would be a good direction.
It'd be our recommendation.
That'd
to
be
do
a good direction
administratively.
from the council to them to give to you.
Yeah.
I think it would be good.
Yeah.
Word of mouth gets out there real quick. You give a couple of tickets out and people know you mean business. If nothing's done, people continue to do it. I think if you get a couple of tickets out there, I think the word gets out quick and people either stop driving them or get them fixed. I think that's a stronger message.
And just so the council know, the Code Enforcement Department of the City Attorney's Office met with staff today to go over all the violations, and we'll be having special ticket books made up for the administrative citations.
Good. Yes, I think that with 5-0, we would love you to get out there, even if it's every once in a while setting up a little sting on a flat corner where you're just, like I know you stopped every once in a while. Sting? What? So like you did with the phones, to sit there for a while and just see what goes by. And I know y'all are busy, but the point needs to be made that we want a quieter city. So, okay,
Yeah, good. And once again, as Jordan has said before, just for the general public's knowledge, he's willing to work with people. So if you're short on finances and you say, hey man, I've been meaning to get it fixed. I know you can't put this off forever, but you come up to Jordan, you let him know, hey listen, can you give me a little more time? I'm having a hard time. I'm going to take it into Yamaha this week and I'm going to try to get this fixed. He will work with you on it. So just know that. We're not out to just chase people around. We don't even want to do that. We just want to get these golf carts fixed, and we understand people's limitations financially. So work with Jordan.
Okay, if no other comments on this, we will go to closed session.
Yeah, with two closed session items. We have conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Hermosa Hotel versus Avalon, and we have conference with real property negotiators concerning the fuel dock and Cabrillo Mole properties.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit.
Sorry.
And we're back from closed session.
We have no reportable action.
Thank you. No further comments. Meeting adjourned.
Good night, Tony.
Night, Tony.
Night, Tony.